Coming up on Sunrise, President Trump is expected to visit the Hill Country today to survey the devastating damage that happened 7 days ago. Plus,
I'm Tony Jaramillo on the South Side, where this cafe with a personal connection to Kerrville is helping out in a big way.
A local business is partnering with Tulosa Midway ISD to lend a helping hand to flood victims and first responders. I'm Tyree Spoon, speaking to the owner and school officials about rounding up more goods to help those in Hill Country.
Good morning, folks. Happy Friday, and welcome to Chris 6 Sunrise. You're waking up with the Hoffmans. I'm Michelle Hoffman.
And I'm Brian Hoffman. It is a Friday. It looks like we made it. And hey, who made it with us? That's right, Miss Julia Quady.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we were talking a little bit about some possible storms this weekend, right?
Small chance. I even hesitate to even say the word storms. It's really looking like maybe to see a couple stray showers with the help of the sea breeze during the afternoon, just because we'll have a small increase of moisture coming back after Saharan dust pushes its way out of the coastal bend by this afternoon. So any weekend plans, though, things look to be dry for the most part, so you don't have to be worried about that slim chance to see some passing showers here and there throughout the afternoon tomorrow. Right now, let's go ahead and get into our current traffic flow in terms of what you can expect for your Friday morning commute, heading from Ocean Drive down to SPID and on Saratoga. All three of those roadways there behind me looking to be pretty clear right now, so you have to be worried about any traffic delays or slowdowns right now on those three roadways right now. Heading on over to Flower Bluff, for the most part, looking at those same conditions there. All clear with those shades of green happening on Waldron Road and on Flower Bluff Drive. A little bit more congestion now beginning to build, though, as you get a little bit closer towards the gate at NES Corpus Christi, starting out with a bit of a medium to then eventually a slower speed as you start to get closer and closer there. And then moving towards the JFK Causeway, going to and from the island, looking at easy driving conditions for the start of your Friday morning. More details to expect for your Friday and your weekend forecast coming up.
Julia, thank you for that. So President Trump will be in the Hill Country today surveying the damage from recent flash flooding. Trump has pledged to provide relief to Texas to help the state recover from the devastating floods. Earlier this week, he signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County. A visit comes as the Trump administration faces continued questions over cutbacks over the National Weather Service and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and if those cuts perhaps added to the lack of notification about this flood, as well as any uncertainty over the future of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA. More than 100 people have died in last week's storms. 96 of those deaths were in Kerr County alone.
Reports of flash flooding in the Hill Country moved many Texans like Candy Cantu to help their community. She and her husband, co-owners of Primetime Party Rentals, then wondered if the community would join their cause. Candy posted on social media their plan to help the people of Central Texas. Soon after, she says, people from churches and communities all over offered to donate. The Primetime Rental Facebook post gained so much traction, staff at the Tulosa Midway Independent School District decided to step up and lend to the business owners. Stacy Figueroa, a coordinator at Tulosa Midway's Warpath Academy, tells me her district has a donation event planned for Friday. She's encouraging people to drop off things like Gatorade, hygiene products, bug spray, wipes, and more. Together, Candy believes the donations will make a huge impact to the people in and around Kerrville.
Bellaroma Cafe is just one of many businesses helping out the Hill Country flood victims. But in this case, the owners have a personal motivation to help out. I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on the South Side, showing you just how this spot is helping.
The milk and giving the milk a little love, right?
Monica Mangiarulo owns Bellaroma Cafe on the South Side. The cafe has become a donation point for diapers, baby supplies, hygiene items, non-perishable food, and more, all for flood victims in Central Texas. Several reasons motivated her to act, but one reason stood out above the rest.
It hit home and it hit hard. My son is about to head out to college to Kerrville. It's going to be home for him. And when I heard that, and especially all those young lives that were lost, there's really is the very least thing that I can do.
Monica says the community's response has been overwhelming. In just one day, she filled a section of her store, and she had to borrow another suite to store the donations. Bellaroma Cafe will be taking donations until Saturday, June 12th at 12 p.m. On the South Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Tony, thank you so much. Now, 7 Brew is stepping up to help our neighbors in Kerr County with Donation Day. Now, 100% of profits made today will go directly to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. Donation Day at 7 Brew will be until all day, and there are 2 locations in the Coastal Bend, 6133 Saratoga Boulevard and 3245 South Alameda. American Legion Post 99 will be hosting a donation drive today as well. It runs from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and they're looking for donations of non-perishable food, water, hygiene items, and cleaning supplies. You can also donate hard candies, protein bars, hydration packs, and snacks for first responders. Post 99 is located at 2502 East Kennedy in Kingsville. And don't forget, folks, if you want to send your donations to the Scripps News Group and the Scripps Howard Fund, you can scan the QR code you see right there on your screen or simply text flooding to 50155. And folks, so far more than $75,000 have been raised thanks to your contributions. And if you would like more information on how you can help the flood victims in South Texas, just scan the QR code on your screen or go to our website, christv.com.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Friday. We made it towards the last day of our work week into the beginning, close to it at least, towards our upcoming weekend here. Right now, waking up, things will be off towards a bit of a muggy note. Yesterday, we saw a bit of a break of that humidity because of that Saharan dust that pushed on through, giving us a brief bit of some drier air, so things felt a little bit cooler, at least towards our bodies heading out the door yesterday. Today, that's not the case. The humidity's back on full blast. You can feel that weighted blanket feel as soon as you head outside your door. But let's go ahead and take a look at the other type of conditions you can expect for your forecast today. Waking up and starting your day on this Friday morning. Temperatures sitting at 77 degrees here in Corpus Christi, 77 right now over in Beeville, 83 degrees is your temperature over in Port Aransas, 82 in Rockport, and 76 right now is your temperature waking up over in Alice. You can see our wind speeds are starting out in a bit of a breezy note, and they're only set to increase as we head towards this afternoon. Right now going nearby 10, maybe close to 14 miles an hour over in Port Aransas. Now we do expect again those wind speeds to really ramp up, going nearby 15 to 20 miles an hour for sustained winds by this afternoon. So we're in for a bit of a windy day. Looking at our dew point values, like I mentioned, that heat and humidity is going to be on for us today, well into that oppressive zone, reaching towards those upper 70s across the coastal bend as it relates towards our current dew point values. And that's only going to add towards a bit of an increase of moisture that's going to be set to coming in to the coastal bend today and for tomorrow. So right now we have that Saharan dust that's going to continue to push its way out of the area by the time we head towards this afternoon. Looking at a bit of a relief from that Saharan dust in the area for a brief period heading towards this weekend. For our next round, we'll be coming into the area as we head towards the early part of next week. So we'll be in for more reinforcement of drier conditions and more hazy conditions ahead for us next week. Looking at our hour by hour forecast, we'll be seeing our temperatures increasing back up towards those 90s by this afternoon. Again, looking at those wind speeds increasing to nearby 20 miles an hour for our sustained winds, with wind gusts going upwards of 30 miles an hour as we head toward this afternoon. And we'll also see those wind speeds begin to decrease, going towards those 20s as we head towards later on tonight into the overnight hours on your Saturday. So in terms of our afternoon high temperature, things will be reaching back up towards those lower 90s, still staying in that range as we head towards this weekend. But with that brief increase of moisture coming in on your Saturday, slight rain chances that will come for us this weekend before we dry out once again with more Saharan dust on the way.
Thank you so much, Julia. Senate Republicans have 1 week to pass a $1 billion cuts package. Coming up after the break, Scripps News Group Nathaniel rejoins us as he has more on what funding could get cut. Welcome back, folks. It is 6:12 on your Friday morning. We're taking a live look from our sky cam, from our studio sky cam, that is, checking out downtown Corpus Christi. We're going to be checking in with our meteorologist Julia Quady in just a little bit to find out our weekend weather. But first, we head to Washington, where the clock is ticking for Senate Republicans. They have just 1 week to pass a $9.4 billion cut package that already passed the House of Representatives.
Yeah, that's right. We have Scripps News Group Nathaniel Reed joining us now this morning. Good morning, Nate. So the bill would cut back funding for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, along with some of the USAID's foreign aid funding. Can you tell us what funding will be cut either way and what could be spared?
Yeah, Michelle and Brian, at this point, it's pretty much clear as mud what's going to remain on the table and what could be cut as part of this cuts package that President Donald Trump and Republicans are touting here in Washington, trying to get across the finish line. The deadline to do so, by the way, a week from today. So the clock is ticking up on Capitol Hill. We all know that lawmakers work best against a hard deadline, and they have one in this case. But there's a lot of disagreement about what funding will remain and what could get cut out up on Capitol Hill. Even some of President Trump's most staunch backers on the Hill making clear that they want to make changes to this House-passed bill to cut $9.4 billion in funding. You noted the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. There's a more familiar case for that. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting gives all the public funding for NPR and PBS. PBS gets more public funding than NPR. But there's new concerns on Capitol Hill in wake of the flooding that we've seen in your state of Texas earlier this week, where concerns that if they cut some of that public funding, that they could potentially impact on-the-ground early warning systems, which are often done through broadcast media, whether that could hurt people in future storms or extreme weather events. There's concerns up on Capitol Hill about how this is going to unfold, whether they might leave some of the funding for local PBS and NPR stations as part of this government funding cuts package. Take a listen. Where are you on the rescissions package? Do you think the Senate will amend it?
Yes, we will. There's several options on the table. One talk is to talk about NPR, separate NPR and PBS, looking at those different. There's questions on how you can break up PBS by making sure the local isn't hurt, but doing so away from some of the national funding. There's several options. I mean, that's just one thing that'll be amended.
And look, the clock is ticking. They only have until a week from today to get this thing to President Trump's desk. And if the Senate makes any changes to the House-passed version, just like the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, it will need to go back to the House of Representatives for them to pass the Senate's version, get that to President Trump's desk. A lot of questions, but what's going to be in, what's going to be out by this time next week.
Well, thank you so much for the information so far, Nate.
I appreciate your insights, sir. Have yourself a great weekend.
Thank you.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Friday. So you're going to notice that things are going to be off towards a more humid start for us this morning compared to yesterday. Saw a bit of a brief break from that humidity and a slight cooler feel to our morning yesterday because of that arrival of that Saharan dust that's still somewhat lingering in our area right now. We do expect that haze to slowly begin to dissipate as we head towards this afternoon, giving us a break of these hazy conditions. So by the time we head towards tonight, most of that Saharan dust is going to be out of the Texas area in general. We'll be looking at that's extending towards this upcoming weekend with the relief of that Saharan dust for now, but you can see that next plume will be making its way into the coastal bend as we look ahead towards the start of your next work week on Monday around the afternoon hours with that next round of Saharan dust arriving here in the coastal bend. So a bit of a brief break ahead for us on the front of that Saharan dust. Now looking at our temperatures and feel like temperatures, again, things are going to be feeling muggy out there across the coastal bend. Corpus Christi sitting at 77 degrees, feeling like 78, 82 over in Ingleside, 77 degrees for your temperature over in Mathis, 79 right now over in George West. And again, for areas that are along the coast, still looking at those temperatures mostly towards those lower 80s right now, waking up starting your day on this Friday. Look at our future clouds, temperatures, and rain graphic here. We can see that we'll see just a couple passing clouds in our forecast for this morning. Just partly cloudy skies, mostly sunny conditions that will be in store for what's going to be in our area here. Temperatures will be increasing towards those lower 90s, eventually reaching nearby, 93 degrees for our afternoon high temperature here in Corpus Christi. Now, along with some sunshine and some heat that's going to be in the area, we'll also see a big uptick in our wind speeds for us this afternoon. We'll see those wind speeds clocking anywhere between 15 up to 20 miles an hour by 3 o'clock and then decreasing a bit towards those lower teens as we head towards tonight into the overnight on your Saturday. So a bit of a breezy conditions for us as we look ahead towards this afternoon, but those are only for our sustained winds, wind gusts going upwards nearby 30 miles an hour as we head towards this afternoon too. So we'll be looking at some, again, gusty winds coming into the forecast for us today. That's going to be pretty consistent even as we look ahead towards this weekend with a still prominent, strong southeast wind coming into the area. And it's also going to be tied towards a bit of an increase in our rain chances, ever so slightly though. It's only going to be coming in with a slight rebound of moisture in the area today and as we look ahead towards tomorrow on your Saturday. So with the help of that sea breeze coming in from the southeast, that's what could feed in towards our small bit of rain opportunity that could be coming in the area again tomorrow on your Saturday. But you don't have to be worried about a washout by any means. Any of your weekend plans will still be looking pretty good with looking at mostly sunny skies extending throughout most of your weekend. Temperatures still reaching towards those lower 90s, hotter conditions, and also more Saharan dust on the way next week.
Well, the weekend is almost upon us, and some of you might need to stop and fill up the tank. Unfortunately, your dollar won't go as far as we've seen a massive jump in prices this last week. I'll show you the cheapest prices around town to make your dollar go even further after the break. Alrighty then, folks, it is time to check in on those gas prices. And I got to tell you right now, they've gone up drastically over just this week since Monday. I'm taking a look at all of the prices around town, around the Coastal Bend, help mitigate that pain at the pump and help your dollar go a little bit further, as well as your gas tank. Let's start off with a look at the national prices. According to Gas Buddy, average is $3.17. Doesn't sound like too bad, right? But that's up 8 cents since Monday. As for the Lone Star State, we're sitting at $2.80 on average. That's up by a massive 15 cents since Monday. But let's see if we can do better here in the Coastal Bend, right? Here in Corpus Christi, third place and second place are actually tied at 4 different stations around Corpus Christi. $2.79 at the Murphy USA and the Sunoco on Flower Bluff Drive, and at the Valeros, one on Holly and Airline and the other on Saratoga and Cimarron. The top spot, though, is the Walmart on Staples and Gullahar, $2.76. For Portland friends, it looks like prices are looking pretty decent right now. They did go up by about 30 to 35 cents, though. Murphy USA next to Walmart is the cheapest one in Portland, though, $2.73. Watch out, though. There are a couple that are close to that $3 range around Portland. And if you're out there on the island, it looks like all of the gas stations agreed on one singular price, $2.89 a gallon. As always, if you can find any cheaper prices than these guys that I've mentioned, might be worthwhile stopping and filling up while you can.
All right, now taking a live look outside of our Skycam, our Snoopy Skycam, sponsored by CCAC. We can see we're looking at a gorgeous view of our sunrise happening beyond the JFK Causeway. Of course, what makes for this gorgeous sunrise, that lingering Saharan dust that's still causing a bit of some widespread haze here in the Coastal Bend, but is going to begin to dissipate as we head towards the later hours this morning and by this afternoon. Focusing on that traffic flow, we saw things were kind of non-existent traffic-wise heading on the JFK Causeway, so we can see that on our traffic flow map here as well, with very easy flowing traffic flow right now. Moving on over towards Flower Bluff, a little bit of a median speed that you're going to encounter throughout portions of Waldron Road, all clear on Flower Bluff Drive, and as per usual, each and every morning, bit of a slowdown leaving and approaching the gate at NAS Corpus Christi. Moving now towards over to downtown, all clear on Ocean Drive down to SPID and on Saratoga with no traffic issues for your Friday morning commute. That's it for traffic report. With details of your forecast coming up.
There are potholes, and then there's a monster hole that people living here on the west side have been dealing with for weeks. I'm Alexis Scott, and wait until you hear what happened when I started asking questions.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Friday and welcome on back. Now we're taking a look at our first Community Bank Skycam atop the USS Lexington, where you can see things are pretty clear right now in terms of our skies, having a mixture of some partly cloudy conditions as well as some lingering haze that's going to eventually dissipate as we head towards midday and certainly by the afternoon. We'll see that Saharan dust push its way up north, giving us a relief of those dry conditions and a bit of a dumbed down in terms of our air quality that we've been suffering with since yesterday. So got some improvement on that front as we head towards this upcoming weekend, but it's going to be a bit short-lived as our next round of Saharan dust is going to be scheduled to make its way to the Coastal Bend as we look ahead towards the early start of next week. But let's go ahead and get towards those details, I should say. Looking at our Saharan dust tracker right now, where you can see that Saharan dust still lingering in our area right now, but again, it's expected to begin to push its way further up north as we head towards midday and by this afternoon, still lingering around the Houston area, and then heading towards this evening, things will be cleared out completely here across South Texas in terms of our coverage of that Saharan dust. But again, that next round expected to come its way into the area as we look ahead towards your Monday. Now waking up this morning, you're going to see that along with that lingering haze, things are still feeling a bit muggy out there. Had a bit of a break yesterday on the front of that more thicker batch of Saharan dust, giving us a drier and more slightly cooler start towards our morning yesterday. Not the case today. As soon as you step outside the door, you're going to feel that moisture and humidity back in place here in the area. Air temperatures sitting towards those lower 80s for areas along the coast, going towards those upper 70s, going further inland right now. Taking a look at our planner, we can see temperature-wise, things are going to increase, getting back up there towards those 90s by this afternoon. Looking at partly sunny skies and eventually mostly sunny conditions as well by this afternoon. And also a thing to take note of is that our wind speeds, those are going to start to crack up a few notches here, going nearby 15 to 20 miles an hour during our afternoon hours for our sustained winds, while our wind gusts, those will be going upwards nearby 30 miles an hour as we head towards this afternoon. So we're in for quite a gusty and breezy day here for the Coastal Bend. As we look ahead towards, though, our evening hours, hours into the overnight, slight decrease in those wind gust speeds going towards those lower 20s and eventually those teens going into the early morning hours of your Saturday. Now for our feel like temperatures, again with that moisture and humidity back at play, it's going to feel like it with our feel like temperatures still increasing towards those lower 100s and then dropping towards those 90s by this evening. So again, things are still going to feel muggy, windy, and hot across the coastal bend at large for our forecast for us on this Friday. Now our heat risk tied towards that increase in moisture and those feel like temperatures again ranging towards those upper 90s and lower 100s. We're still going to be kind of going back and forth between that minor to moderate risk, majority and moderate risk in our forecast today as it relates towards our heat risk. Now for tomorrow, all of us are going to be leaving that minor zone. All of us going to mostly be in that moderate risk. So at level 2 out of 4 for our heat risk danger as we look ahead towards your Saturday here. And that's also going to include some inland neighborhoods in that major zone. So things are going to be a bit dicey throughout some neighborhoods with a bit of an increase in terms of your feel like temperatures and your risk level for heat danger in the forecast. Now, along with that, the increase in moisture that's kind of tied towards why we're going to see more heat in the area is also going to be tied towards our rain chances ahead for us on our Saturday. Now, they're going to look slim at best. They're not going to be looking very promising, but with the help of those faster wind speeds and that sea breeze during the afternoon, along with this slight influx of moisture coming back and rebounding here in the coastal bend, that's what's going to lead towards a small bit of an increase in our rain chances coming back into the area again for us this weekend before rain chances become pretty dismal ahead for us early next week with the next round of Saharan dust that's going to make its way back into the area. So looking at your weekend forecast here again today, seeing our temperatures reaching toward those lower 90s, things are going to be very breezy for us. It's going to continue all throughout those weekend as well. We'll see a slight bit of a rain chance coming in with the help of the sea breeze potentially on your Saturday. But other than that, for your weekend forecast, looking to be pretty fairly dry. Temperatures maintaining towards, again, those lower to mid 90s. So again, things are going to be pretty normal in terms of conditions here in South Texas. Still hazy today. Again, slight rain chances over your weekend before we continue to dry on out with the next round of Saharan dust coming in early next week.
A popular fishing spot could be impacted by a nearby groundwater desalination plant. I'm Michaela Chavez in Baffin Bay, telling you why some anglers are concerned their beloved bay could be at risk.
And also coming up on Sunrise, we have a look at what's going on around town in this week's Coastal Bend weekend.
Now, say hello to your neighbors. This is your Chris 6 News Sunrise Shoutouts.
Hello, Chris 6 Sunrise team. I'm Lupe Ramos out here at Choose Wisely. I want to wish all my neighbors across the coastal bend out there a great morning.
Hey, we want to wish everyone at Choose Wisely a great morning and a great day as well. Folks, if you want to send us your own shout out video like the one you just saw, make sure you scan the QR code on your screen or go to our website, christv.com.
Now, the local events and fun things to do. It's Coastal Bend Weekend with the Hoffmans.
Oh man, nothing gets me in the mood for that Friday than that jingle right there. That's right, folks. This Coast Bend weekend is packed to the brim with fun, fantasy, and some feel-good moments.
Yes, we have a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. Let's start in the Bay Area.
Corpus Christi Comic-Con is back and ready to assemble over the American Bank Center.
Expect celebrities, artists, costumes, prizes, and a whole multiverse of vendors.
It all kicks off today and powers through all weekend long. We've posted the full schedule and ticket info on our website, so suit up and check it out.
Looking for more fun and games? Well, head to the Alamo Draft House, where they're hosting a Dungeons & Dragons party.
Live out your own adventure with a tabletop role-playing game that's been casting spells for decades.
It's perfect for first-timers or seasoned adventurers. No experience required, just imagination. The quest begins Sunday at 2 p.m.
Over in Port Aransas, get ready to make a splash and a few high notes. Parks and Rec is launching a brand new event, Splash and Sing, over the Port Aransas pool.
It's a poolside karaoke party where you can cool off and show off your vocals. It's all happening Sunday at 1 p.m.
On Saturday, raise a glass for a great cause and help a child take their next step from noon to 5 p.m. Bring a brand new pair of shoes to donate and you'll get a free pour at Nueces Brewing Company.
But act fast, there are only 50 free pours available. All proceeds go towards supporting local children in foster care.
And finally, our hearts are with those affected by the flooding in Central Texas.
This weekend, communities are coming together with events like barbecue benefits, paint and sip fundraisers, and more to help with relief and recovery.
We've listed all the details and more on our website. That's KRISTV.com.
Yes, and of course, folks, if you would like to see your event featured on a future Coastal Bend Weekend segment, make sure you send us a message.
Hey there, good morning, happy Friday. So if you're over all this haze that we've been dealing with here in the Coastal Bend since yesterday, I have some good news. It is going to dissipate over the next few hours by midday and by this afternoon. It's going to be out of our area here in the Coastal Bend. Waking up this morning, still somewhat lingering over our area, but again, heading towards the later hours today, things are going to begin to dissipate and push its way further up north, eventually up towards northern portions of the Lone Star State. So by this afternoon, we will be having maybe a little bit some lingering haze, but for the most part, looking at a bit of relief. At least it's going to be brief though, because our next round of Saharan dust is going to make its way to the area by next week. But looking at our planner today, with that Saharan dust pushing its way out of the area by midday, by the same time frame, we'll see an increase in our wind speeds, getting a little bit quicker, upwards near 20 miles an hour for sustained winds, wind gusts going upwards nearby 30, and we'll see our temperatures increasing as well, getting towards those lower 90s. Going to have a forecast high temperature of 93 degrees here in Corpus Christi. Looking at your 7-day forecast, rain chances will kind of bump up ever so slightly ahead for us this weekend, with the influx of moisture coming in as the Saharan dust leaves our area. So a bit of a rebound of moisture helping us out with that. Then we'll quickly dry out again with more Saharan dust on the way next week.
From Chris 6, this is 20 minutes of non-stop news.
Hey there, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in for our 20 minutes of nonstop news with the Hoffmans. I'm Brian Hoffman.
And I'm Michelle Hoffman. We'll check in with meteorologist Julia Quady in just a bit. But first, here's your neighborhood check-in.
Reports of flash flooding in the Hill Country moved many Texans like Candy Cantu to help their community. She and her husband, co-owners of Primetime Party Rentals, then wondered if the community would join their cause. Candy posted on social media their plan to help the people of Central Texas. Soon after, she says, people from churches and communities all over offered to donate. The Primetime Rental Facebook post gained so much traction, staff at the Tuloso Midway Independent School District decided to step up and lend to the business owners. Stacy Figueroa, a coordinator at Tuloso Midway's Warpath Academy, tells me her district has a donation event planned for Friday. She's encouraging people to drop off things like Gatorade, hygiene products, bug spray, wipes, and more. Together, Candy believes the donations will make a huge impact to the people in and around Kerrville.
Bellaroma Cafe is just one of many businesses helping out the Hill Country flood victims. But in this case, the owners have a personal motivation to help out. I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on the South Side, showing you just how this spot is helping.
The milk and giving the milk a little love, right?
Monica Mangiarulo owns Bellaroma Cafe on the South Side. The cafe has become a donation point for diapers, baby supplies, hygiene items, non-perishable food, and more, all for flood victims in Central Texas. Several reasons motivated her to act, but one reason stood out above the rest.
It hit home and it hit hard. My son is about to head out to college to Kerrville. It's going to be home for him. And when I heard that, and especially all those young lives that were lost, there's really isn't the very least thing that I can do.
Monica says the community's response has been overwhelming. In just one day, she filled a section of her store, and she had to borrow another suite to store the donations. Bellaroma Cafe will be taking donations until Saturday, June 12th at 12 p.m. On the South Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter in Baffin Bay. This area quickly gained attention from anglers across the region. Now, a groundwater desalination project plans to bring more drinking water in our area, but there's a catch. That process leaves behind waste, which officials say will go in here. Mayor Sam Fugate says the city of Kingsville will not be part of the project. Fishing guide Todd Wilson says dumping the waste in Baffin Bay harms marine life, jobs, and the local economy, not to mention other bays around the area. Other anglers adding that the agreement should have been voted on by the community. I reached out to the South Texas Water Authority early Thursday morning to ask if they'd like to respond to the public concern regarding the contract, but did not hear back.
A troublesome patch on Corpus Christi's west side has caused a lot of frustration for drivers. Neighbors tell me this huge pothole has been a daily obstacle. I went to Beretta Drive near Horn to see the hole many neighbors are talking about. Neighbor Julian Hernandez tells me anyone driving on this road has to dodge this nuisance. He says city crews have come out to fix it in the past, but he believes they're only putting a Band-Aid on a problem that requires major surgery. So I reached out to the city's Public Works Department to get answers. Within a couple of hours, crews came out and patched it right up. However, the city says it's only temporary. A permanent repair of the hole is expected in the coming weeks.
An Alice Spa is doing more than just self-care. It's trying to save lives. I'm Ana Conejo, and I'll show you how this business is doing just that.
The Sculpting Spa is now offering discounted beauty services in Alice for those who help with the blood shortage and donate to the Coastal Bend Blood Center. The owner of the business, Amara Garcia, says her life was saved due to blood donations, and now it's important for her to give back.
The Alice Pediatric Clinic has been a trusted medical provider for years in Alice. I'm Melissa Trevino, where this clinic is about to hit the road to help those living in rural communities who don't often have access to medical care. The van is equipped with everything doctors and nurses will need to provide that medical care, so that parents in rural communities don't have to wait to come into Alice. I spoke with Dr. Eric Nissenblatt, and he says this mobile clinic will help improve the health of so many children in the rural areas. If you can't wait to see what's inside, call the Alice Pediatric Clinic to schedule your appointment, but walk-ins will also be taken.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Friday. Heading out your door, you're going to see things are feeling a bit more muggy today compared to yesterday. We're going to see that the Saharan dust is still somewhat lingering in our area, but a little bit more moisture starting to rebound here in the coastal bend. So it's going to lead to more humidity and things feeling a bit more oppressive here in the forecast as you look ahead towards your upcoming weekend. Right now, let's go ahead and take in this view from our Snoopy Spirit Sky Cam, sponsored by CCAC. You can see a little bit of that lingering haze making for a beautiful sunrise for us this morning, but also a little bit of mixture of some partly cloudy skies that will eventually lead towards mostly sunny conditions as we head towards this afternoon. But first, let's go ahead and check in on that Saharan dust. Right now, like I said, lingering here in the coastal bend, but eventually pushing its way up north as we head towards this afternoon, completely clearing out for the most part in the Lone Star State as we head towards tonight. So improvement on the way and relief from Saharan dust for us today and as we head towards your weekend. But it's going to be a bit short-lived with that next round of Saharan dust arriving for us as we look to head towards the start of your work week on your Monday. But right now, again, lingering Saharan dust out there, but still moisture and humidity going to be at play in our forecast today. Temperatures in those lower 80s across the coast, going towards those upper 70s, going a little bit more further inland this morning. Looking at our forecast for the next few hours here, playing it out, we can see a couple passing clouds are again mostly making for partly cloudy conditions for us this morning, eventually clearing out to more sunny conditions as we head towards this afternoon. Temperatures reaching towards those lower 90s, eventually reaching an afternoon high temperature of, I should say, 93 degrees here in Corpus Christi. Now, we can also notice our wind speeds are also going to be towards a more breezy note for us today. Wind speeds clocking nearby 20 miles an hour on the dot as we head towards the afternoon, then decreasing by this evening into the overnight towards those lower teens. So a bit of a breezy afternoon that we're going to be in store with those wind speeds maintaining again nearby 20 miles an hour, but then gusting towards 30 miles an hour or 31 miles an hour specifically by 1 o'clock this afternoon. So again, got some pretty intense breezy conditions on the way for us for our day on this Friday. Now, we will have a bit of an increase in our rain chances, ever so slight for us as we head towards your Saturday. That's just going to be due with that Saharan dust pushing its way out of the area, and then a slight influx of moisture coming into the area as well. Behind that, that's going to give us a slight bit of rain chances ahead for us in the area by way of a helpful sea breeze. So again, maybe a slight chance there, but for the most part, we'll be looking at pretty much dry conditions for us for this weekend. Temperatures still maintaining towards those lower 90s. So other than that, pretty much a fair forecast for us for our weekend here. Again, still hazy today, but by the time we head towards this afternoon, that haze out of our area, giving us our slight rain chances this weekend before we see more Saharan dust on the way by next week.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
All right, folks, in the 6 things you need to know, President Trump is headed to Hill Country today to survey the damage from the recent flash flooding.
More than 100 people died in last week's storms. 96 of those deaths were in Kerr County alone. Now, Trump has pledged to provide relief to Texas to help the state recover from the devastating floods. Earlier this week, he signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County. The visit comes as the Trump administration faces continued questions over cutbacks at the National Weather Service and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as well as uncertainty over the future of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA.
And a former White House staffer is scheduled to testify on Capitol Hill today behind closed doors about former President Joe Biden's mental competency. Ashley Williams served the Biden administration as an Oval Office operations staffer. On Wednesday, Biden's former doctor refused to answer any questions about Biden's health and mental fitness to serve as president, citing patient-doctor confidentiality. Biden has denied Republican accusations of mental decline, and Democrats have called the investigation simply a waste of time.
The Department of Health and Human Services is cutting undocumented immigrants access to several health care programs. Undocumented immigrants will no longer have access to Head Start or the Community Health Center program. Head Start provides education and health care assistance to children. The Community Health Center program offers basic health care and dental service to anyone. Federal law still requires hospitals to treat any patient suffering a medical emergency regardless of their immigration status.
Back here at home, the YWCA on Corona Drive will be closed today after they received threats over the phone. They tell us that the unidentified person made the calls Thursday morning. Police are investigating, but they wanted to stay closed today out of an abundance of caution. The YWCA plans to resume regular business hours on Saturday.
The city of Corpus Christi will be hosting their Litter Critter Free Cleanup event this weekend. It will take place tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Flower Bluff High School. Items that are accepted are brush, bulky items, household trash, tires and metal items, and items that are not accepted are household hazardous waste and concrete. Commercial hauling is not allowed.
Well, 7 Brew is stepping up to help our neighbors in Kerr County with Donation Day. 100% of profits made today will go directly towards the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. Donation Day at 7 Brew will be all day long, folks. There are 2 locations in Coastal Bend, 6133 Saratoga Boulevard and 3245 South Alameda.
All right, now taking it outside, looking at our sky cam over top SPID, can make out those partly cloudy conditions and that haze still right now lingering in our area. But the good news is that haze is going to push its way out of the coastal bend in the next few hours, giving us a relief of that Saharan dust and that poor air quality that's been in the area since yesterday. But looking at our traffic flow, things are looking good on SPID. Let's go ahead and take a look at other roadways to see how your Friday morning commute can see how it's going to shape up here. So things are clear on Ocean Drive as well as on SPID and heading on Saratoga. Moving on over to Flower Bluff, a little bit more of congestion happening throughout portions of Waldron Road, all clear on Flower Bluff Drive. And as per usual, still seeing a bit of a small slowdown as you get a little bit closer towards the gate at NES Corpus Christi. Then heading on towards the JFK Causeway, going to and from the island. Again, looking at pretty easy driving conditions right now this morning with no issues heading on the JFK Causeway right now at this moment. More details we expect for your Friday and for your weekend forecast coming up in the next few minutes.
Julia, thank you so much. So finding a used car you can afford is much tougher these days and much harder to find. So Scripps News Group consumer reporter John Matarese has tips on how to find a great used car in your budget.
Finding a good used car is a lot harder and a lot more expensive than it was just a few years ago. But there are ways to get what you're looking for with a little bit of research and a little patience.
Here outside AutoZone, Kiana Lee was trying to keep her older Mitsubishi running because she knows how expensive cars are these days.
I can barely do this one. And this one is like $435.69 every month. I don't want to go no higher.
But a recent study found that the average price of 3-year-old cars has increased by more than 40% since the pandemic. Carl Brower with IC Cars, which conducted the research, says that factories around the world shut down and new cars weren't being made during that time. Now we're seeing the ripple effect of that.
All those non-produced new cars from 20 to 22 are now non-existent used cars in 25. And that means just like before we had a scarcity of new cars. Now we've got a scarcity of used cars.
As a result, the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index shows prices up 6% in June, year over year.
We do really well with the Corollas.
Here at Courtesy Automotive, owner Gary Heflin says it's getting harder to find a good used car for under 20 grand, but it's still possible.
Cars priced at $19,900.
Just make sure the dealer gets good online reviews.
We're standing behind what we're saying because, we've looked at the car.
Brower's advice, be flexible on the model and be willing to travel further from where you live to make the purchase. And don't just think about the sales price. Consider your total ownership cost, like insurance and maintenance. Kiana Lee hopes to keep her old car running a bit longer.
It is just got to get a few things fixed on it.
That way you don't waste your money. John Matarese, Scripps News Group.
On to what's trending now, folks. You got to take a look at this. This is super cool. We're seeing some incredible images of the sun from NASA. So the Parker Solar Probe snapped these images about 3.8 million miles from the solar surface. That is the closest any probe has ever gotten to the sun. The new close-ups show the solar winds and constant stream of electrically charged particles. Scientists say that the photos may help them understand the mysteries of the solar wind and its impacts on Earth. The Parker Solar Probe passed by the sun late last year. NASA released the new images on Thursday.
How crazy. Man, I was impressed with my images of the eclipse, but you see these and it's like, man.
That is just crazy. And it's crazy to think that, those solar flares and solar winds have just such a profound effect on us here on Earth as well as our weather, right?
Yeah, it does. So it's really interesting there. But those images, like you said, Michelle, those are really extraordinary. It's cool to see for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we may not have any solar flares, but we got some Saharan dust in our forecast, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thank goodness, though, it's now starting to leave our area, giving some folks hopefully a little bit of relief of that issue. Of course, folks who might be a bit more sensitive to that being in our air, giving a bit of a decrease in our air quality. Things are going to be getting better for us as we head towards this afternoon with that Saharan dust finally leaving our area before it's set to return, though. As we look ahead towards next week. But I'll get into that in just a few more moments. Right now, taking a look at our current dew point values, kind of depicting why things are feeling a bit muggy this morning. Saw a bit of a break with that Saharan dust giving us drier conditions yesterday morning, so things felt somewhat cooler starting off our day on Thursday. But today, different story. We're looking at those dew point values reaching towards those upper 70s, so well towards that oppressive zone in terms of how much moisture is in currently our area in the coastal bend. So looking at our temperatures, we feel like temperatures still ranging towards that same range of our temperatures and feel like temperatures that we've been seeing every day, though, this week. Over for our coastal neighborhoods, sitting towards those lower 80s. Feel like temperatures back up, though, reaching towards those lower 90s. That's a bit different from yesterday. But temperatures reaching towards those upper 70s for areas that are a little bit more further inland. Like I noted, that Saharan dust right now is still lingering here in the coastal bend, eventually reaching its way further up north out of our area as we head toward this afternoon and pushing its way completely out of the Lone Star State by this weekend, giving us a full weekend of a break from that Saharan dust in our forecast before it is going to be set to return into our area ahead with that next round of Saharan dust coming in by Monday. Before we go ahead and get into that, let's go and take a look at our dog walking forecast. Introducing our star first, we got Gigi here, maybe expecting a dry and comfortable dog walk for us this morning. And Gigi's right to assume that, maybe minus a bit of that moisture and humidity causing a bit of a uncomfortability for some who's maybe a bit more sensitive to humidity out there in our area. But in terms of our skies, things will be a little bit hazy, but still, again, clearing out over the next few hours. We'll see partly cloudy skies, eventually mostly sunny conditions as we head towards this afternoon. Temperatures also reaching towards those lower 90s by this afternoon as well. And you can also notice we got faster wind speeds in our forecast today. We'll see our winds clocking nearby 20 miles an hour for our sustained winds all throughout the afternoon hours. And then eventually looking at our wind gusts, those going upwards nearby 30 miles an hour or more as we head towards the afternoon, and then decreasing towards those 20s and eventually those lower teens as we head towards the late night to overnight hours into your Saturday. So today is going to be a bit of a start, hazy, then eventually not so much as we head towards the afternoon. Still looking at mostly sunny conditions again and breezy, strong gusts of wind coming in by this afternoon. Temperatures reaching towards those lower 90s, 93 degrees for your afternoon high temperature here in Corpus Christi. Now with that Saharan dust giving us a bit of a break, leaving the coastal bend by this afternoon, we'll see a bit of a brief increase in moisture coming into the forecast today and ahead for us this weekend. And along with the sea breeze, with this brief influx of moisture, we could see the small chance of getting some opportunity to see some more showers back in the forecast as we look ahead specifically on your Saturday. But again, these rain chances are very slim at best, very slight, maybe a rumble thunder too with some of those showers coming in this weekend. But any of your weekend plans, they're still looking good to go because we'll still be looking at mostly sunny conditions all throughout your weekend, and then we'll dry out again with no rain opportunity coming in next week.
Yay, sounds good, Julia. Thank you so much. And folks, thank you for joining us. We hope you guys are ready for the weekend because it's going to be a good one. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, have a great rest of your Friday, everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye.